Daniel had a quarrel with his daughter. The madwoman Mary, his beloved little blood, came home in the morning. And again. Drunk. How many times? All right, you don't care about me or your mother, but you should think about your health at least sometimes. Daniel tried to control himself without bursting into a scream. She is not my mother, answered Mary, who could hardly stand on her feet. And stop teaching me about life. Come on, worship at the feet of your Sarah, henchman. Daniel slapped his daughter in the face. The next time I hear something like this about Sarah, Mary's cheek flushed red, angry tears spurted in her eyes. I hate you. She ran to her room and slammed the door loudly. Father, upset, opened the liquor cabinet. You shouldn't do that, Daniel. Don't. You shouldn't have hit the girl. Sarah's soft hand gently touched Daniel's fingers. A rebellious beard. She's just like you. Everything will work out, darling. His wife was always on time and calmed Daniel. He was so fond of her, calm, tender, feminine. Many did not understand what Daniel, a successful businessman, millionaire, well-known patron of the arts and respected by all people, found in her. Men who were not the last in the Forbes list could boast of spouses who were beauty queens, actresses, models, stars. And Daniel didn't give a damn about all that. His wife was an ordinary woman, pretty, plump, homely. Just as ordinary wives are supposed to be. Daniel was fine with her. He adored her, but his daughter hated her. Mary was born to Diana, Daniel's first wife. She gave birth late, at the age of 37. All the years of their married life they dreamed of having a baby, but it did not work. Some problems with heredity. And suddenly. A pregnancy. Mary grew up a real beauty, curly, black-eyed. A beauty. And then Diana got sick. Doctors gave her a horrible diagnosis. Cancer. His wife burned out literally in a year. Daniel grew 10 years older. It was then that he realized not everything can be bought for money. For the huge sums of money he had worked so hard to earn. He married Diana early. At the age of 20. Then Daniel and Diana were young, beautiful and carefree. They studied together in the same class, passed their exams, and wrote their diplomas together. Together later they worked at the research institute as engineers. Daniel even became head of a department and they were doing fine until their great country collapsed, split apart. They had to start from scratch, buy cheaper, sell dearer. The couple went through everything, both fire and water. There were raids by brothers, tax problems, defaults, and crises in their lives. And then just when it was possible to enjoy life and raise a beloved daughter, Diana died. It was a terrible time for Daniel. But he did well, he was strong, he survived, he did not drink, and did not disappear. Mary was brought up by the faithful Isabel, a domestic helper. Diana, a kind soul, invited her former teacher to work after she saw how she collected bottles in the park, hoping to earn at least a penny for bread. Pensions then were poor, and those were paid once every 6 months. Isabel served faithfully, raised Mary as a smart and well-read woman, in fact, replaced her mother. She died last year, and Mary sobbed profusely at the funeral. She had returned from abroad, where she had received a brilliant education, so longed to see her beloved Isabel, but Daniel was probably to blame for a lot of this. He built his whole life around his daughter, spoiled her. He never once brought a single woman into the house. He was afraid of offending Mary. Yes, of course, he had mistresses, but he did not let them into the house, or into his heart. Daniel did not expect that he would fall in love like a boy with Sarah. He met her by chance, at an exhibition he was sponsoring. Daniel had no time to attend all these public events, but his position obliged him to attend the opening of the pavilion of paintings by famous St. Petersburg artists. Daniel almost fell asleep from boredom at the presentation, and just as he was about to leave for the kingdom of Morpheus, right in the middle of a long speech of some cultural figure, a soft woman's hand touched his fingers. A nice middle-aged woman smiled and whispered softly, "Don't fall asleep, photographers don't doze off." Daniel perked up, having avoided the scandal of the sleeping millionaire photos. Then he wandered around the gallery with Sarah and she told him everything so interestingly that it took his breath away. And so it went on and on. Joint visits to museums, theaters, concert and opera tickets, exhibitions and installations. Sarah was everywhere interesting. Daniel did not immediately believe that she was a farm manager. She had been a farmer all her life and now she was trying to save her farm, which had fallen into decay after the death of her beloved husband. And when he came to the village, to Sarah's farm, and tasted a real borscht, he made a decision. To grab this woman and never give her to anyone. Mary hated Sarah from day one. What it was? Childish selfishness, spoiled, jealousy, is still unclear. Sarah never allowed herself to somehow put the naughty girl in her place. And Mary, as if on purpose, began to make stupid provocations, walking around restaurants, changed boyfriends like gloves, embezzling money, drinking, smoking, swearing, messing with suspicious companies. And every time her father tried to talk sense into the turbulent girl, she bristled like a hedgehog and poured a bowl of garbage on her stepmother. Daniel was beside himself. For the first time in his life he dared to hit Mary. Daniel knocked softly on the door of his daughter's room. He opened and saw that she was lying on the bed, curled up. "Daughter, I'm sorry. I was wrong." Mary was silent. "I'm sorry." Her father's apologetic tone was soft. The daughter jumped up from the bed and, looking into Daniel's eyes, she spoke fast and fast. "Daddy, you don't understand. She is not worth your little finger. Don't you see that she twists you, a grown man, like a boy?" "Mary, stop this nonsense." Daniel was on edge again. The daughter grabbed the phone. "Here, Daddy, I took this picture especially for you. She regularly meets her lover in the cafe. Every week." Daniel turned on the video. Indeed, Sarah was sitting at a table with a strange man. And this was not the only video. "Here, watch some more." Mary showed her several similar videos, all had different dates, but the stranger was the same. "The address of the cafe." Daniel gritted his teeth. Mary gave the address. Daniel decided to follow Sarah himself. His wife visited the cafe every week on Thursdays. Tomorrow is just Thursday. That's when everything will be found out. The next day Sarah got ready in the morning, ostensibly to the recreation center, and left. Daniel followed her. He saw her stop the car near a small restaurant. Daniel tried to sneak into the hall and sat down at a table near the window. After a while a tall middle-aged man approached Sarah. His wife ordered coffee, she and her lover talked for a long time and then left the restaurant. Stranger gallantly supported the lady under her arm. Everything became clear. Sarah was cheating on him. Daniel's eyes darkened. He grabbed his heart. "Are you ill?" anxiously asked the young waitress, thoughtfully touched his shoulder with a gentle hand. The touch was so tender. As his wife's. Daniel jumped up, answered nothing, and ran out of the cafe. The girl looked after him perplexedly. Daniel waited for Sarah to return. "Is there anything you want to tell me?" he asked his wife. "No." "Why?" Daniel looked at Sarah with a heavy look. "Everything is clear. I thought we trusted each other. And you? What is he better than me? Tell me." Sarah changed her face. "Oh, my God, Daniel. It's not at all what you think." Daniel laughed sarcastically. "Oh. Familiar phrase. Millions of people caught in the act say exactly those words. I don't want to listen to you. Go away." Sarah realized that the conversation was over. Her husband believed not her, but her daughter. She guessed that Mary was following her. She should have gotten ahead of her and explained everything to Daniel. Now it was too late. The woman went upstairs, gathered her things, and left the house. Daniel did not even look in her direction. When the door closed behind Sarah, Daniel sank helplessly into an armchair. His heart ached, and this pain would not let go. Sarah was taking a cab to her village. She dialed a familiar number. After several rings a man's voice came into the receiver. "Sarah. Jake, I'm going home. Get my room ready please." "Okay, what happened?" "Never mind." After a while the woman drove up to the gate of her house. The man with whom she had talked so many times in the cafe opened the gate for her. By the look of Sarah he knew what had happened. "Sarah, I am so sorry, but you should have told your husband immediately when you took me to work." "Yes, Jake, I have already realized that I have said an incredibly stupid thing." Daniel's wife did not give up hope of taking her farm to the next level. She did not want to do it for her husband's money. Sarah was afraid to offend him because the farm was all that was left of her late husband. And an ordinary woman's stubbornness and the desire to prove to herself that she can achieve prosperity business to which she devoted her whole life also played a role. Jake, the new manager, a sensible specialist, was in charge of all the documentation and projects. Every week Sarah and Jake met in a cafe and discussed matters of financial development of the farm. The woman closed herself in her room and gave vent to her feelings. What a mess. Stupidity, unnecessary independence ruined the family. And Daniel. He didn't deign to understand, to listen to her. And it was Mary, the nasty girl, who didn't want to make friends with her. Little fool. Very sorry. Very painful, but there is nothing to do. Just wait. Daniel is a clever man, sooner or later he will understand everything. And if it's too late. Sarah cried from resentment and unbearable bitterness of parting with the man she loves. Several months passed. Mary continued her merry life. She had almost no contact with her father. And Daniel's heart was getting worse and worse. But his daughter, as if she did not notice the puffy cheeks and unnatural thinness of Daniel. She came home in the morning and did not go to her father. On the day Daniel was taken away to the hospital, Mary was again not at home. The doctor called her. "Hello. Mary?" Yes, Mary was really scared when she heard an unfamiliar voice in the tube. "Daniel is in intensive care. In a serious condition," said the doctor. Mary screamed with horror. She fluttered through life and did not see her father dying at all. She, a foolish egoist and trash, did not want to notice that by molesting Sarah, almost killed a loved one. Sarah was busy buying a batch of seeds for greenhouses when she received a call from Mary. The woman's heart sank from a bad feeling. "Mary, what happened?" "Sarah, honey, come quickly. Please. Daddy is dying." The woman has gone pale. "I'm on my way right away." Professor Patrick had just finished his consultation. "All right, ladies. The patient needs an urgent operation. We have considered all the risks and come to the conclusion that surgical intervention at this age is dangerous, but otherwise Daniel will surely die. I warn you. A good result might not be, but we will try to do everything possible." Mary cried. But Sarah was firm and calm. "We understand you, Professor. Do the operation. We believe you." There were agonizing hours of waiting. The women sat side by side. Suddenly the young one said, "It's my fault. I did everything to separate you and Daddy. After he left you, everything went wrong for him, his health, his business. I keep getting calls from competitors, hoping to get the lion's share of the stock for a pittance. I'm a bitch." She turned to Sarah. "I'm sorry for everything. You're the best." Sarah hugged the girl. "I forgave you long ago, my girl. It was my own fault. That man was only my manager." "Of course he is. And I told Daddy that you have a lover. What have I done?" "I'm sorry." They hugged and cried and hoped to fix something. The operation was a success. Daniel was finally allowed to see his loved ones. He saw his most beloved girls by his side. "Sarah. Mary. You made up. I'm so glad." "Daddy, of course. Mom and I made up a long time ago. You know, I was the one who told you such nonsense. And not a lover at Mom's." Daniel pressed his finger to his lips. "SHH. I know. I'm a real jerk." Sarah touched her soft palm to her husband's hand. "I'm so happy that everything is all right with you, my love. You can't imagine." Daniel kissed her hand. Tears of relief and remorse poured from his eyes. All is well in the family. Daniel and his family spent a month at the sea. After his recovery, he returned to business again. Mary got a job with her father in the firm as an assistant and stopped her wild life. She developed a warm relationship with her stepmother. Sarah proved to her husband that she can achieve the prosperity of their own business quite independently. Daniel was pleased but secretly worried that he would be left without borscht prepared by the hands of his beloved wife. Sarah did not let him down. She was able to skillfully combine work and household chores, which had recently increased. Their daughter fell in love with a beautiful young man and was going to marry him. Wedding commotion is a serious matter. Without the wise Sarah, Mary would not have been able to cope in any way.